To provide some additional context around who we are, we like to say we're a search-centric digital agency. So this project specifically was search-centric, meaning it was organic and paid search. And so really the objective here was Condit had always been obviously a big player in the trade show space. But one of their sales guys had really great success in this new market called temporary structures, which Annabelle described a bit of how they kind of showcased that in their creative campground. But really these temporary structures are designed to be built anywhere on the fly pretty quickly. They can hold hundreds of people, anything from 50 to thousands of people. And so really what Condit needed to do was have a web presence where they could rank for those terms and really showcase their capabilities there. So when we came into the project, we started with a keyword analysis to really understand who's out there searching for this, what kind of terms are they searching with. For instance, you'd find people searching for temporary event structures, or they'd even be including things like for football game or for for NASCAR, or people would actually include different keywords indicating what they intended to use it for. So we spent a ton of time digging through that and then working with the Condit team to get feedback and really make sure that we understood the space as well as their sales team did, which was really important in making this successful. From there, we started looking at their current site and trying to identify what we call content gaps. So in understanding where they had keyword targets where they didn't have supporting content. And so what that led to was a whole new section on the site about temporary structures. We ended up creating detail pages for a whole variety of terms. It was for everything from sporting events to like trade show exhibits, for instance, like BMW, I know, built one at a trade show to have like a more interactive presence with lights and a whole you could definitely say it was better than your average exhibit. So really, there's a ton of different applications here. We ended up creating just a lot of content that would help Condit rank for that. In addition to that, we worked with the Condit team. They have obviously a lot of great design assets there to create a lot of different like brochures, case studies, different, you could call them content assets really. And we then distributed those across social channels, things like SlideShare, LinkedIn, and all of that was really helpful in not only building awareness around Condit's new offerings with temporary structures, but also just building links to their site, which in SEO are a really critical measure of where you rank. So in the end, that was really the goal, is to help Condit, we like to say, own temporary structures, and that was really the way we did that, was understanding how prospects search for those terms, and then building content around that, and then trying to get that content out on the web through those various channels. So in terms of results, I think that was one of the things that's great about search, obviously, is that it's so measurable. And I think within our entry, that was one of the things that I think the judges liked, is I tried to get as deeply into the metrics as I could. But some of the things I shared were that, for instance, organic search ended up driving 57% of their form submissions on the site, which is a pretty fair percentage of inbound leads. We saw roughly 110% increase in organic traffic year over year. Condit ended up ranking in the top 3 for a lot of what we call high-value terms, things like temporary structures, hospitality structures, double-deck structures, a lot of those related terms and permutations of those terms. And from that, they ended up getting some really great leads. I know Condit did America's Cup a couple years ago, if you guys follow sailing, and the Vail Valley Foundation with the, I'm forgetting the name of the event now.
The Alpine World Championships
in
Beaver Creek class.
So that was a big one, and I'm sure you guys probably saw a lot of on the news or in the photos, like the stands, and so Condit created that entire temporary structure for that entire event. So it was really a successful project. I think overall, as I mentioned, I did try to very, very much focus it on the story in terms of the judging. I didn't, like Melissa was saying, you don't want to necessarily write like the results were, we did this, we did that. I think that would come across pretty boring. So I tried to kind of set it up and describe what Condit was, and some of the various events that they did this for, I think, made it come a little bit more to life. And I definitely included as many photos as I could, which I'm sure the judges would like. So.